What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I just want to, Rich Paul, man, another person comes out and speaks out against Rich Paul and Rich Paul doing all this talking and stuff like about the Lakers and Austin Reeves and the situation and a trade. And now Shannon Sharpe chimed in on his show on Nightcap, right? But like I said before about Rich Paul and what he's saying, I don't believe that this situation with Rich Paul is like like he misspoke, right? And so LeBron James trying to separate himself from that. I think it's all a play. I think it's all a setup. I think that these guys are trying to convince the Lakers that they should keep LeBron James, bring in somebody else who's going to help Luka score more and going to be a better defender. And I just think it's all a play. I think the reason LeBron James missed that first 6 weeks of the season was so that they can drive the market up for for Austin Reeves, right? Drive his value up, and then trade him. So, but I'm not sure if the Lakers organization is going to go for that. I think it's all a play. I do think that they're trying to get maybe, and the reason why they might go for it is I think that with this guy, Rich Paul, coming out and publicly saying it, I think they may be trying to get the fan base used to the idea of trading. They want to see like what's going to happen, like what's going to be the pushback or the ramifications of trading Austin Reeves, right? Because I know like the fan base really like him, and they like him over there. So we'll see if the Lakers organization go for it. But if they do it, then I'm sure this will just be more evidence that this was a play all the time. I don't think that Rich Paul is speaking out of turn. And so when LeBron James separate himself from that, I think that's all just, that's all hot air. But with that being said, I want to go to what Shannon Sharpe had to say about Rich Paul in this situation.
Paul suggested the Lakers should trade Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr. Is Jaren Jackson Jr. Rich Paul client? Caused significant ripples, but in fact, the tensions reached the sidelines on Tuesday night when AR's agent, Reggie Barrett, confronted Paul. One of Austin Reeves' agents reportedly confronted Rich Paul at the Lakers game, per Dave McMenamin. One of Reeves' agents, Reggie Barrett of AMR Agency, approached Paul on the sideline near half court at halftime of the Lakers-Hawks game Tuesday night. The two people spoke for about 5 minutes or so, and the topics of conversation was Paul's public trade scenario regarding Reeves. Rich Paul has a podcast. Rich Paul, and look, I like Rich, but Rich Paul is talking like he's not an agent.
Right.
He's talking like you and I. This is something we might have should have suggested. But for an agent that has one of the biggest names on and he's talking about Jalen Johnson, who's one of his clients. He's talking about this and that. But what were your thoughts when you heard that a current agent getting on his podcast and playing out scenarios for teams in which one of his players is on said team?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Let me say this, right? And I said this before. I think that number one, it's a play. Number two, I think that like these situations or what Rich Paul is doing, like usually these type conversations happen like at a golf club or at dinners where nobody else is around. Then you might have Rich Paul talking to a general manager or somebody else who can facilitate that type of change, right? Because you don't want this to get back to Austin Reeves representatives, and you don't want it to get back to Austin Reeves, and you don't want them to even know about this conversation. So that's why I say when he make these type of statements publicly, this is a play, and who knows, the organization might even be in on this. Like I said, just to take the temperature of the Lakers fan base and how they're going to feel about this, right? And Rich Paul is just the front man on this.
Very conflicting because as an agent, you know, what you say holds a lot of value and weight.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And coming from Rich, you know, for, you know, obviously LeBron being his top client and on the Lakers with Austin Reeves, suggesting that they should trade Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson. Man, that's a touchy situation because he's an agent. So
Yes.
if I'm representing Austin Reeves, yeah, when I come to the games, yeah, we need to have a talk as well. I need to sit down and talk with you too. Hey man, don't be throwing no in the windows out there about my clients. You know what I mean? So I can understand the ruffles and Austin's agents. So I really don't know what Rich Paul was thinking in that moment, man. Or
see, I don't think that they're giving Rich Paul and LeBron James enough credit. Like I said, it's a play. Just imagine like being a judge and you listening to a case, a judge listening to a case, and he knows, like no judge. Imagine a judge giving a podcast talking about a case that's like currently going on, or even a past case, right? Just because you have access to information don't mean that you can publicly speak about it. And then being in a position that he's in, he knows that better than anybody. Like people would try to get him to talk. And most of the time, most agents be like, no comment, or, I can't speak on that. That's why, like I said, this is a play. He's not doing this. He can't be that naive, that he don't know that this is going to bring a certain amount of heat and resentment from the other side.
Maybe he didn't give a damn, I think.
Yeah, I think that, look, and I don't have, look, you're going to get yourself in trouble because if you talk long enough, Joe, you're going to say something that you probably shouldn't have said.
Right.
Now, Rich knows better. He knows, just like what he said about LeBron and things of that nature, you have to be careful in a situation like that. And I'm glad LeBron came out and said what he said, because I don't think but people will automatically try to tie it to LeBron.
Yeah.
Because that's LeBron's agent. LeBron says, well, y'all know how I feel about AR.
The thing about LeBron James, like people said that LeBron James have been a passive aggressive type person anyway. And he have gotten people traded. What was the guy named? He's gotten people cut. Mario Chalmers said that, he said something to LeBron James one time during a game, and it got him in trouble. What's the other guy named? The big guy. Like a lot of players have came out and just said like LeBron James is a kind of a passive aggressive person. So if he have an issue with you, he's not going to say nothing to you. He's got, like I said, got people traded off of teams. He's gotten guys cut. So if he says that, well, Austin knows how I feel about him, like, that's not a good sign right there, because he's gotten people traded and threw other players under the bus. So that's not a good sign. I'm not buying that. I think that if he wants Austin to know how he feel about him, then his agent wouldn't be out here throwing Austin's name around. Like, that's my guy. You're not gonna be throwing his name around, so it's all a play.
Yeah. And I think LeBron does hold him in very high regard. But I just thought in this situation right here, if you want to have a podcast, have a podcast. But when you're talking about, I just looked at this, I don't know how professional this is. I would have a problem
from an agent standpoint.
Yes, I would have a problem about that. About you talking about somebody else's client. Obviously, AR is repped by AMR. Jaren Jackson Jr. Triple J is repped by CAA.
Yeah,
I'm just like, so what's the play?
The play is to try to convince the Lakers to hold on to LeBron James for one more year. Then next year, what they'll do is, I think next year they'll do that, the farewell retirement tour. I think that's the play, because LeBron James, I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers want LeBron James back. And so LeBron James, unless he agree to go to a team that's not going to win, he don't want to go somewhere where they don't have a chance to get a championship. He wants to go somewhere, and have an opportunity to win, or at least look good trying to win, so he can continue to put up his stats. But LeBron James, I don't think there's a big market for LeBron James.
Looking out, I guess he called himself looking out for the Lakers, because when you think about it, for really, if that trade could happen, it obviously would be super beneficial for the Lakers. If you just want
Jaren Jackson, he might give you 25 one night. He might give you 12 and 7 the next.
He's
not a consistent big man like Giannis. If he was going to give me what Giannis, or he could give me what.
But see, we're not talking about Giannis. We're talking about trading him for Austin Reeves, right? So Jaren is a better defender, right? So you'll get better defensively with Jaren Jackson. So why he talking about Giannis? I don't understand why Shannon Sharpe is bringing up Giannis.
Jokic, or he could give me what Embiid was in his prime. I'll make the trade tomorrow.
Well, you're not talking about Embiid, Giannis, or the Joker. You're talking about trading Jaren Jackson for Austin Reeves. Now, I think Austin, in my opinion, I think he's more consistent and a better offensive player, right? But Luka is going to do the scoring if he was to make that trade. So you have Luka doing the scoring, which Luka do a lot of the scoring now. Then you have LeBron James chipping in, and you'll have the guy Jaren Jackson chipping in with the scoring. You don't need him to. It'll be good if he could consistently give you 20, but I think you get better defensively.
Well, you never know. Think about this. You got to think about Jaren Jackson, Luka, in pick and roll, LeBron and Jaren Jackson in pick and rolls. I just think when the playoffs come, to have 3 top scorers like that, it's just going to be so tough on them 3 to be able to carry all that weight. For AR to average 25 to 27 points, Luka averaging 30, Bron averaging 25, that's going to be a lot, man. Because your interior is going to suffer. Your interior is going to suffer. They're going to have to make a move. They're going to have to do something.
But here's the thing. But when Ja was there in Memphis, Jaren Jackson wasn't in pick and roll. Ja was in pick and roll with 80. Ja was in pick and roll with Adams. He wasn't in pick and roll with JJ. JJ want to shoot threes.
Yeah, he want to shoot threes. He can go off the dribble. He a little versatile. He a versatile big. At the 5 spot, he probably gonna have a mismatch every night. He probably gonna have a mismatch if he.
Yeah, I disagree with Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe, but he a football player. He don't really, I think you trading, like if you do make that, if the Lakers make that trade, you trading offense for defense. Jaren is gonna play better defense. He a better defender. Offensively, like I said, Reeves is, he gonna score that ball. So, and I think that's what the LeBron James is trying to convince the Lakers that, we need better defenders. And so that's the whole play right there, though. And it's pointless to try to separate LeBron James from Rich Paul, because they are, they're the same. You're not going to be able to, it's the same. You're not going to be able to get one without the other. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.